All right, I'm going to take over from here, Ru. Thank you so much for playing that video. It's always exciting to start the day with it. And like there's a lot of new things that we cover as part of it. And since we always have new things coming, I'm sure there are more things that we have not covered in that video, like the topic for today's Academy session. So before we go there, a very warm welcome to all of you to our April 2023 session for the Employee Center Academy. I'm seeing people dial in from all over the world once again. So great to see that. It is not that cold and like a pleasant morning in Seattle. So I hope that you are starting your day or ending your day in a good note as well. Um, to set the context for those of you who are relatively new to the academy sessions, we every time we do this, we have new folks joining in. So want to just let all of you know that this is your time to ask your questions and interact with us. Today, we will be configuring the product live, and we do that in many of the Academy sessions. So not a presentation, and we definitely want this to be an engaging session. So feel free to ask questions. We have a lot of expertise on this call to help you address those questions. And we do this every month. It does say we will be back next month, but next month is the knowledge month. So I hope you are attending Knowledge 2023. If not, please look into it and see if you can. A lot of folks that are on the call today will actually be in Knowledge. So we will have a chance to interact face to face. There are a lot of employee center related sessions also planned during Knowledge, including a lab where we will teach how to configure a unified experience on Employee Center Pro. The academy will be back in June. The thumb rule is that we have a session on every third Wednesday. So on the third Wednesday of June, that is June 21st, we will have another session of Employee Center Academy. In terms of logistics, please make sure you're asking your questions in the Q&A panel. As you can see, we have a really active group of customers joining this call. So if you're asking a question on chat, it is most likely going to get lost. So if you want your question to be answered, please use the Q&A panel only. And feel free to write your comments, your thoughts, engage with each other, share your contact details or anything that you want on the chat. It's like you can see, it's a really global group. A lot of you have already implemented, a lot of you are in the initial phase. So it's a great way to learn from each other. And the slides and the recording for this session will be available. So don't worry about taking notes too much. Listen and engage with us instead. And the recording for this will be available on YouTube, and it will also be put on the Employee Center community event page associated with today's session. So you will have the materials available. In terms of the topic for today, we have a really interesting topic. It is dynamic topic microsites and rich content editor. And I'll give you a lot more context about what it is. The topic microsites functionality is a really new functionality that was first launched in November of last year. And we have since then enhancing it everywhere. Everywhere from like IT organizations to HR organizations to like corporate communications and those who are building a unified portal, all of them have been super interested and excited about microsites and what we are doing in that space. So hopefully all of you on the call will get a lot of value in terms of what it is. We will also be configuring it live using the rich content editor. So a lot of exciting stuff. And you have a really exciting panel to help you answer questions. So I am like the constant one in these academy sessions. So you probably know me. My name is Pooja Gupta. I'm a senior manager of outbound product management at ServiceNow. And I run these academy sessions every month. Joined with me is Corey. He is our really awesome product manager who leads all the employee communications capabilities. Corey, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm glad to see so many participants today. What an audience. This is fabulous from all over the place. We are very excited to be here and sharing the topic microsite and rich content editor demo. So yeah, looking forward to the session and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Corey. And we are also joined by Rafa, who is our engineering lead for employee communications. Rafa, you want to just say hi?
Yeah. So hi everyone. Nice to see some people in the call. Happy to be here and looking forward for all of you to enjoy this session.
Thank you, Rafa. And both Corey and Rafa will be joining in, chiming in live while answering your questions. We also have more folks, like we have Ben, who is a designer. We have Pooja Patil, who is another engineer. Rohan, all on the list of panelists for this call. So please ask your questions. I do see a couple of hand raised. I'm not sure if it is because you've not even started with the content. Could you post your question on the chat and we will make sure it is addressed? If it is a question regarding the content, we will make sure to pick it up when we get started. But yeah, that is a good way to engage with us. If you have a question, you want to you can raise your hand and we'll make sure to give you a chance to speak. All right, so what will we cover? I kind of already covered this. We will cover what is microsites, the demo, and we will also bring up best practices. A lot of people have been asking us about when should we create microsites, how should we create it, what are the best practices around it. So we will cover some guidance around that too. Now, for this, we will stick with microsite, and there are a lot of other areas that you probably need help on. For example, migrating from service portal to employee center, designing a taxonomy. If you have questions on that, I would say go to the community. There's a lot of content over there and try to use that content. This forum, we will prioritize answering questions on microsites. We also have a deployment office hour. So if you are in the phase of deploying and you need help, I would recommend you go on the Employee Center deployment office hours. We do these monthly. Our next session is going to be April 25th. So any questions regarding like just pure deploying Employee Center, we will table it so we can address them in the office hours. A common question that we get is resources on employee-centric taxonomy. There's a lot of it. For everything from design tips to like a deep dive into curated experiences, which is the taxonomy-driven experience, workbooks and FAQs. You will have these slides, so you will have these resources. I'm putting this all up because we often get a lot of questions on these. We also have resources on migrating from service portal to employee center. So you will have all of these available for you, and most likely your question will be addressed by these resources. And then, we have additional resources like Now Learning, Now Create. There's a ton of resources on Employee Center. So let's stick with the topic of discussion for this meeting, and please limit your questions related to that topic. So let's start with just understanding all the different terms that I have thrown in the title over here. So dynamic topic microsites, rich content editor, and try to make sense with all of those. What is a microsite? So if you would think about the microsite, the industry definition or understanding of it is that it is a web page or a content page designed to function as its own entity. Like it's basically a standalone page which has all the information that you would need on a given topic. Now, this could look different for different organizations and what you're trying to achieve based on the topic, and that's fair. Typical use cases are there, like, you have organizational wide strategic initiatives like diversity and inclusion. You want to have messaging around it and a single place where you can direct employees to get information about that initiative. There are change management activities like a launch of new software or M&A changes or leadership change that you would want to communicate and like have some sort of landing page on. Similarly, new services, new product, or even we have seen microsites created even for like specific topics like phishing threats, benefits, return to work, and so on. If you would see how these microsites, and many of our customers, even before this feature was launched, were creating microsites in ServiceNow. But if you would think how they created it, they were in two ends of the spectrum. One end was that they tried to use knowledge articles, make it really fancy with like, a lot of information, a lot of images on it, a lot of buttons on it to call as call to action. And on the other hand, it was either a custom service portal page, which was hard to create and maintain. In both these cases, the challenges were it took a lot of effort to create them. Like whether it was a knowledge article, it's not that easy to create a very HTML-like or a rich knowledge article. And it's not that easy to create the same with a service portal page as well. And then it's not easy to maintain them or update them. And because these are created so much in isolation of like the portal, it's hard to maintain consistency of like theme or just design for these microsites. And then, of course, there was very limited targeted governance capabilities, not really tied to the browse or search experience. So it was very difficult for employees to actually get to these microsites. I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions on the chat or Q&A. Okay, can you use microsites for the use case where you need to show employee information that varies by country? So, good question. People want to use microsites that have content that is dynamic. And in the approaches that I'm talking about over here, it was not that easy to create. So in the new capability that I'm talking about that we will just introduce you to, it is possible to create content that is different depending on who the audience is. So here's what we have created. We call it the dynamic topic microsites. It is essentially an updated version of the regular topic pages, if in terms of like the experience. So what organizations can do is they can pick up their topic page and make it look like a microsite with rich HTML content added into the existing topic page to better guide, engage, and inform employees. And because these topic pages are already tied with the taxonomy, it is easy for employees to discover them. And what it does, it brings together the information goal for microsite with the services goal that would be associated with that topic. So if you have any request item, knowledge articles, videos, quick links, all of that can be created in a familiar interface of the topic pages. And what is most exciting about the launch of these dynamic topic pages that it came with a new editor, a backend capability that is drag and drop, comes with predefined layouts and components, including text, images, and anything that you could think of that is required for creating a rich HTML microsite-like experience. And I'm seeing a lot of questions on licensing. If you would see this slide, there is a dollar and it says Employee Center Pro. So yes, this functionality does require you to have Employee Center Pro license. And I want to reiterate, there are two ways to get Employee Center Pro license. Either you have the HRSD, the HR Service Delivery Pro Professional or Enterprise license. You get Employee Center Pro as part of that license. Or you can get it a la carte. So if you are, let's say, an ITSM only customer, you want to get Employee Center Pro, you can choose to just license Employee Center Pro outside of HRSD. Okay. Pamela, I'm seeing your comment, completely relate with the effort of creating and maintaining this. Thank you, and I hope others were able to relate with that. As you will see me demo, we will create a microsite live, and you will see that how easy it is to create. Now, if you think about what is under the hood of these microsites, what I showed you was the end experience. But there are three key components or building blocks of this. First is the rich content. Rich content is essentially a new portal content type that we have created which is essentially an HTML-like long-form communication content. And what we are doing is this, we work on this in the same content publishing module that we have for creating any kind of communication. That's banners, those are style content, videos. You will see that it is using the same, and it's just a new content type that we have created as part of the same experience. The second piece is the rich content widget. Now, this is the container that sits in the topic pages where the rich content feeds in. So if you would see the screenshot back here, and I can show it, this boundary that you see above benefits topics is essentially the container or the rich content widget that is placed in the topic page. And the instance name within the topic page is topic rich content for this widget. Now, it's just a widget, so you can actually place this widget in a custom service portal page and create a microsite that is standalone and not tied to a topic page as well. So that is also a possibility, because ultimately the rich content is feeding into the rich content widget, which is placed in topic pages out of box, but can also be placed on other service portal pages or like a custom page. The third building block is the rich content editor. So what rich content editor is doing is when you want to work on that portal content type, that is rich content, you use this new experience, which is what we call as rich content editor, to design it, to format it, to like preview it, and everything that is related to that particular concept. Here's what it looks like. If you would see on the left, it's a new drag and drop experience. On the right hand side of the screenshot, you can see like predefined components that you can just drag and put in that canvas in the middle. And this is what is rich content. It comes with a lot of styling options, such as margins, colors, fonts, that you can just directly work in this space or in this canvas to create the rich content of choice. It is also integrated with the portal theme. So we spoke about the challenge that we don't have a lot of consistency across different stakeholders who are creating microsites. This interface ensures that the primary selectors that are available for design components is tied with the portal theme. So they can still choose to not use the full portal theme, but they are encouraged to use the portal theme because that's your primary choice. And then it is integrated with the content library view, which you will just see, to ensure it is like there is native support for translations, governance, distributed ownership, and all of that. So if you're familiar with our employee communications capabilities, and let me know in chat if you're not, everything that we design, and I'll showcase this when we do the demo, you can have audiences defined for it. So you can literally say, this communication or this content is available only for US employees, or only for employees sitting in my Seattle office, or only for managers, and so on. So you can have like multiple different ways to define the audience and make sure it is only available for those. And others will just not see the content appear. Cynthia, I'm seeing that you're not familiar. When I'll do the demo, I'll make sure that I touch upon the basics. Let me reiterate on like the product requirements and the releases for this, because we often get questions on this. So it does require Employee Center Pro license, but it is shipped with with a different application, not new, it's been there for a while, called Content Publishing. And Content Publishing is an app that is a dependency for Employee Center Pro. So when you download Employee Center Pro or you upgrade Employee Center Pro, you automatically upgrade or download Content Publishing app as well. So all you would need to do to get this is like upgrade your Employee Center Pro, and you get this functionality. Now, Employee Center Pro, as you're familiar, has quarterly releases. And all of our quarterly releases are backward compatible with the last two family releases. So currently we are in February. We just launched February, and we are like working towards the May and August. If you would get like, even if you are Tokyo, you can get the family release. If you're San Diego, you can still get the February release, not the family. So San Diego customers and Tokyo customers can also get the February release. We first launched the microsite capability in a November release, and you are seeing the version details available over here. And then we had an enhancement for this in our February release. And then we are going to have additional enhancements on this in August. So every now and then for like specific capabilities, we skip a release. So Employee Center Pro will still have an update coming in May, but like before August, but it doesn't include the content publishing updates. Questions on this before I go into the demo? Anything that I'm missing from the Q&A panel? Corey, Rafa, anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I'm just kind of actively answering questions in the Q&A. A lot of really great questions in here. So one really interesting one, maybe I can address real quick. The topic microsite functionality is intended to offer kind of manually curated content within the EC portal. And the question was, well, why would anyone do that versus SharePoint? And what I'll say is, SharePoint definitely has its purpose, and many customers are perfectly fine and happy with it. So maybe they wouldn't use this functionality. But the reason that we see customers moving away from SharePoint and migrating towards something like this is, number one, SharePoint can tend to be a little more Wild West. When we did a lot of research, a lot of customers were really concerned about how their SharePoint sites look different from the rest of their intranet or employee portal. So that was one reason. Number two, configuration could be really difficult. Number three, it doesn't have direct kind of data level integration in many cases, like the audience targeting and stuff like that. When when you're not using ServiceNow as kind of that source of truth for the content that is being delivered within the pages. So you have a lot more targeting, scheduling, language, all that stuff is integrated as part of the ServiceNow platform when you use this. And then the other thing is just from a theming and control perspective, this content area, when you build out content microsites using rich content, it's only affecting a portion of the page, and it is already directly integrated with your portal theme. So you don't have to worry about, fonts, looking different from other pages on the portal. Everything is integrated within kind of that unified employee portal. You're not linking out to other areas and systems. And so a lot of customers just kind of want to move away from SharePoint as a source of information and more as like a repository and internal. They want to keep SharePoint as internal knowledge sharing, but ultimately as an employee destination, and even in intranet use cases, a lot of customers are really interested in moving towards ServiceNow for this. So it's all unified within the single portal. So that's some of the rationale for why we built it the way we did.
I was talking on mute. Thanks, Corey. There's another question that came up, which I think is something we can address before going into the demo. Can we have a request to create a microsite as a catalog item, so like a request form for creating microsite? So we actually have a whole end-to-end workflow for entire employee communications. So there is an out-of-box request item, which is pre-configured, like you have the whole form details identified, what you would need for the communication. And the requester can submit that. It goes to the content authors. They can create it, work with the same tools that are there for them to easily create it, send it back as an approval or a review to the requester under the same My Task view over here that you see on my screen. The approver can see it. They can add like more people to review it and send it back for edits and like, and then send it out. Microsites functionalities, communication banners, campaigns, all of that are tied with that end-to-end workflow. It's called content governance. So feel free to explore that. Okay, so hopefully you can all see my screen. I'm showcasing Employee Center Pro. This is a very vanilla Employee Center Pro out-of-box view of the product. And what I'm going to showcase is just a very simple, very simple microsite that I have created. It's under travel and relocation under my HR, but then a subtopic under my HR topics. Let's see. So you have this, like you have the regular stuff, which are the support resources, the articles, the applications. You could even have quick links over here. But there's a component on top that kind of pops up some of the things that are really relevant for the travel and relocation topic right now. So there is like an update to the travel policy. There is like safety tips. You could always pin these if these are knowledge articles. You could always pin them over here, but it makes them a little bit more pop out and become like a microsite if we are doing this. Now imagine your company just had a survey done and people are saying that they want more support from the organizations in managing their career. You have this topic page called career development. It's pretty light right now. You have like maybe an article. You expect you have like applications like LinkedIn Learning attached, but you expect the organization to invest a lot more in this. So you expect like trainings that would be assigned to individuals, maybe additional platform for taking trainings and so on. So there's an opportunity to actually make this topic page more richer. So what we're going to do together is create a microsite for this. So I'm going to go in the backend. So this is ServiceNow backend. And someone was asking what is content publishing. So I have Employee Center Pro downloaded. So I have like all the content publishing and content employee communication related capabilities. So there's content experiences over here that you see. This is all the things that you would have to create a campaign and build like a whole content communication experience. This content governance, which is the end-to-end workflow for requesting communications to be made on the portal and other channels. And there is this content publishing. Content publishing is essentially the whole workflow for creating new content and managing it in the backend. And what I'm going to talk about is content library. This is our relatively new interface for creating all kind of content. So I just went and hit new, and you can see I can select, the type of content I'm looking to create, whether it is a notification for email, Microsoft Teams, whether it's a mobile or it's portal. And you can see like different types of content. This is what we call as like content types. And there is one which is called rich content. So this rich content is what we are going to create. So I give it a name. Let's say it is EC Academy Demo 1, and I say Open Editor. Now this is the rich content editor. This is the drag and drop interface that I was talking about for creating these microsites. Now someone was asking if we can have audiences defined for the content. I'll get to that. So just walk through the whole process, and then I'll show how audiences are being defined. So right now we are just creating a new content of type of rich content type. And look how easy, let's say I want a tab structure, and all I did was I went to the blocks, I picked it up and I dragged it here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building my microsite. So this is for career. So this is going to be, let's say, understand your career paths. This one, let's say I'd say it is set your goals. So we, like, as part of the new initiatives, the leadership is asking all employees to set goals. So we are doing that. So we want all employees to set their goals. Grow your career. Now it is just like, operating in a PowerPoint. Like it's like so simple. I like to equate it in like working in a PowerPoint. So now let's say I want to start building this tab. What I'm going to do is, just give me a second. Yeah. And for this pad, let's say I want 2 columns to be added. For the first column, I want a video to be added inside it. So I take it and I put a video inside the cell. And I go to the video, I say I want the video source to be a YouTube video. Um, um, Here's the link. It's just a TED video that I'm just picking up for the example's sake. Um, um, okay. And I say, okay, I don't want this video to be this big. I want it to be smaller. So look how easily I can just do that over here. Okay, so that's good. Now I want to see what I will put over here. This will be the first tab. So I want to say something along the lines of that we are excited that you are looking into the career topic. And we put a block for text. I want some text to be added there. So here you go. I'm copy pasting from Word. When you are copy pasting, you want to be careful to not include the formatting that is from there. Typically what we say is copy paste it in a notepad and bring it from there because it's easier. But let's say I want to style this. So I want to say like, I want to make this bold. I can just make it bold. I want the text color to be different, the text style to be different. You can do all of that over here. There's advanced styling, so you can use a different font. You can use a different font weight. So I want the whole thing to be bolded or so there's a lot of different options that you can do. You want it to be centrally aligned and justified. All of that is possible. But let's say I want to add a link as well to this. And the link would be maybe to a knowledge article that is around understanding job levels. So we pick a link, we put it here. Maybe, hold on. So let me just create some space for it. And then I put it here. And then I just go and I say, okay, so now when I go to properties for this link, you can add what the URL would be, whether it would open in the same window, in a new window. So you get the gist, you can create all of that. I lost my change over here. Okay. Huh. Corey, any idea?
Sorry, I've been answering. What happened?
I'm not just able to save this, but that should work. Yeah, it is working now.
Okay.
Okay. So my first tab is created. Now I go to set goals. And for this, let's say I don't want 2 columns. I just want them to see front and central that, there is a place for them to set goals and they need to do it in a particular window. So of time. So let's go. I go again. I add a text block. And I add here. Then I say goal setting window is this time. And then I again want some formatting. So I say this is bolded. And then I add a button because I want it to be really visible in terms of what the action is. And for this button label, it says set your goals. And then you can of course, put the URLs associated with it. And so that it goes to your goal setting platform or however you have it configured. Now, the third one, let's say I want to do a lot over here. I add 3 columns. The first column is about, I want them to build individual development plans. So you have set your goals. Now you have to build a development plan to make sure that you are, in making progress towards the goals. So I put a text section, and this is individual development plan. You can just fix it here. Then I put another text section over here. And let's say you want them to have growth conversations. So growth conversations. Then I changed my mind. I don't want the third cell. I can just delete it from here, and then you can see that it is automatically adjusting. And at the same time, you can also see, like if you would see on top here, you can see whether this is for desktop, this is how it would look in a kiosk, in a tablet, this is how it would look in a mobile view. So how responsive the content that you're creating can be created over here. So let's say I am happy with what has been created. I say save and finish. All of the changes are there. I can see a preview of it over here as well. Then I go on the publishing plan and I say let's add a publishing plan. Academy Demo 1. I pick this. This is a portal content, so it's going to go on portal. I want it to be on a topic page, so I'm going to pick the taxonomy topic page. The widget is rich content widget, so I'm picking all of that. I'm picking the taxonomy, so I know that, like from my instance, this is the employee taxonomy. I'm adding the topic, so I wanted it to be in career development, if you remember. So I pick all of that, and then I can preview it on how it will look on the portal. So you can see this was the same topic, and you can see like a new section has been added in the same existing topic page, which is on the rich content that we just created. And let me go back and say audiences. Now, you can have audiences created at a particular rich content level. So, and in the widget, you can have multiple different rich content that are targeted. And you can have audiences defined for that each content. So it's not that you could have audiences defined for each tab, but you can like build separate rich content that is for different audience. These are example audiences set up in my instance. You can see they are like, they can be, you can even like this February demo one over here, it was just a couple of people like we said will have access to it. So you can even just have your audience in an Excel or like, and just, add it over here. So it can be any of that. Let's say I use all active users. You can define whether it will be always active, it is active for a specific duration. I'm just going to say always active and save publish plan. So yeah, so with that, it is already created, and let's go back in our portal view. I'm going to refresh it. And there you go. My microsite is already created. So you can see how easy it was to create this. Yeah. Let's see. Comments, questions, thoughts on this. Anything, Corey, that you would want to pick up, add on this? One thing I forgot to mention actually was that when you are like designing this, you can also translate this question. So we have this content. We have a integration with ServiceNow's localization platform. So if you wanted to translate this question, I think in my instance I only have German. I can request the translations to be done with just this click of a button. The translations are fulfilled. You can review it right here and see how your content is looking, if there's any changes required in that language, and see and work through it. So it's pretty powerful. I'm going to pause. Anything, Rafa, Corey, you want to add? Questions that are coming up that you would want to address live?
Yeah, we got a couple questions around building these out in subprod versus prod. Obviously, you can always build them out in subprod and export the XML and kind of import it into prod. But, content publishing and all of our content types are meant to be able to build out on prod. We have scheduling, previewing. We can, you can basically build out all your content and not have it go live without making sure that it looks really great. If you use content governance, you can have approvals. So we have a content governance plugin, as you mentioned, Pooja. You can add in the ability to add approvers and stakeholders to review the content before it goes live. So we do have those kinds of safeguards in place if you want to build it out on prod. We definitely recommend that. A lot of really great questions, a lot of activity in the Q&A, so been busy.
That's good. Yeah, so I'm, let me take a look. So there's a question around audiences. So you can have groups defined and make that to be your audience criteria. It doesn't always have to be active users. So you can always think of these as your groups. In fact, I can just showcase audiences. I cannot spell audiences today. Here you go. So these are all the different audience groups that we have created, and you can see it's using HR criteria, it is using user criteria, it can even be just like a table that you add.
Or even an imported list. So a lot of folks don't realize that you can build an audience out of an Excel spreadsheet. So anybody who hasn't completed their, for instance, their goal setting in Workday, you can export those users and bring them in, create an audience, and send them to a microsite or send a communication using content publishing. So audiences are really powerful in enabling, very kind of rich targeting for any of your communication needs.
Yep. Then the other one that I want to show is scheduled content here. So if you ever want to see what all content is active, it's an easy way to see. It's all under content publishing. So you can see these are all the different communication content that we have active right now on the portal. So nice way to see and get a central view. I'm seeing a question on license. So the HRSD license is not mandatory for anything that you're seeing over here. You do need an Employee Center Pro license. So we can run campaigns, you can get microsites, you can get all of the functionality for the employee communications with just the Employee Center Pro license.
One other interesting question. Oh, do you have time for me to mention one other thing, Pooja?
Yep. Please go ahead.
Yeah. One other thing that came up, and we hear this a lot, and so I just wanted to address this, is that obviously this functionality is being delivered via the back end of ServiceNow, the platform side. We do have roadmap items, and this isn't a roadmap session, but we can in future roadmap sessions. We'll probably announce this a little more, but just keep in mind that we are in process of building out Rich Content Editor to be flexible for portal front-end users in the future. So just wanted to address that because we get that a lot. We understand that customers don't always want to allow or have certain employees that don't even know about the ServiceNow platform backend. And we realize that. And so we do have a persona and a roadmap that will address a more kind of delegated style of building out these microsites and content pages, rich content areas within custom pages on the front end. That's coming.
Thanks, Corey. And for those of you who are interested, we actually have started doing roadmap webinars. Our next one is going to be in June. If you're interested, just let us know. We will make sure you have the registration link. Or Smriti, if you have the registration link handy, feel free to just drop it in the chat. Okay, we have a few minutes left. So before we go into like additional questions, we can just focus a little bit on best practices. We get a lot of questions on this. With the Employee Center launch, there'll be multiple options for creating rich content type of experiences for organizations, for your users. One is, of course, the knowledge articles are not going away. So this is not like replacing the knowledge articles, but you need to know when to use a knowledge article versus a microsite. And our guidance is that if you have a very simple, like a policy statement, just like information about a very small topic, you would still want to use a knowledge article. As soon as you start thinking about making it a little bit more heavy in terms of engagement, in terms of getting more involvement from the employees, you would want to start thinking about microsites. Now, I mentioned earlier, the rich content widget lives in the topic page out of box, but it can live outside in a standalone page because it's just a widget. So you do have the option to create a topic microsite or a standalone microsite. And what we are recommending organizations is that if you have content that like any sort of knowledge article, request item, or applications that would like be tagged to that topic, you would want it to be a topic microsite. So if it is tied to your taxonomy, make it a topic microsite. It's better from the user experience standpoint because it is completely embedded in the navigation. But if it's a topic that you don't anticipate to have any like request forms or articles like associated with it, you can always opt to be a standalone microsite. Like the rich content editor works equally well. And a great example for that is a corporate strategy microsite. Like we have one for internally in ServiceNow, and like it's a separate microsite and not a topic microsite because you don't really have like request forms associated with it. Anything you want to add to this, Corey?
No, I think, well, yeah, maybe. So I think one of the areas of creativity we're starting to see with this functionality is the idea around these standalone microsites using kind of a custom page that has the rich content widget in there, to build out a more kind of high level thematic microsite that might not fit within the taxonomy. One thing that we saw from one of our internal teams is they built a custom page that had a grid of quick links, and that grid of quick links, here we go. Yeah, I just thought this is a really creative way to do this, and we would love to, in fact, we would love to hear from our customers who are starting to implement or how they're implementing, and even see screenshots for things. I saw in the chat earlier some folks using this functionality already. Any examples or stories or kind of your journey on how you use this stuff, we would love to hear, because this kind of creativity is really fun to see kind of crop up from our customers. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yep. Feel free to raise your hand if there's anyone who wants to like comment, and we'll make sure we'll get back to you. This was very interesting because it makes it very easy to find microsites, and like this is just using the quick links widget, so you can style it, and like it's very easy to create. And you can actually combine topic microsites as well as standalone microsites all in one view. We also have like additional enhancements coming in August, which would make it easier to search these microsites as well. So just FYI on that. Lastly, before we go open it up for further questions and comments, you have a lot of flexibility when you, as you saw in the rich content editor, to create these microsites. But because you have that flexibility, you also have the you need to use that flexibility responsively. So like with great power comes like great responsibility, essentially. So make sure you're checking for responsiveness of your content, and that's the reason why we made sure in the content editor you can view as you're designing the content in a portal view, in a tablet view, as well as mobile view. And some of the guidelines that we have highlighted over here are like, instead of using like the sizing option, you may want to use the percentages to define your height and width. That makes sure that it is being responsive. Always test it. Always test your feature. Use the feature preview to test responsiveness. And the more you minimize the amount of nested components, the easier it would be to manage the responsiveness of your content. Similarly, accessibility is a big focus for Employee Center Pro. Like we want, we are like 2.1 AA compliant, and I might be missing up the number over here, but we are pretty compliant in terms of accessibility. And we would love the microsites that you guys create are also compliant. So some of the tips on that is make sure you're providing alternate text for, and like if you saw the rich content editor, there was a section called properties. So you could use alternate text to describe the images, titles for your video component, and making sure that the color contrast that you are using are correct. And if you're being consistent with your portal theme, some of the color-related design issues that we would have with accessibility would most likely be resolved because your portal theme would be taking care of that. Okay, that's all I had to share, and now I would love to open up for like just questions. Let's see. If anyone wants to raise their hand, please go ahead, and I will look into the Q&A panel. Okay, anything that, okay, I'm seeing a hand raised. Joe, I will allow you to talk. You can unmute and.
Hi, I saw that you have a UI button option to translate to other languages for the content which you shared. Is it also available for other widgets or other quick links, whatever we are adding to portal? Do we have that one button click to translate to languages?
Say that I kind of missed the question. Corey, did you hear it?
I'm not sure I'm following. I'm sorry.
Yeah, could you repeat?
So to translate a widget, right? Today, in our instance, we have to import or add rows to UI message table or translation table. But in the presentation, I have seen that with a button click, you said we can translate to other languages.
Yeah. So the content experiences and content publishing, really where you're building out your content within content library, all of the content publishing slash content library content is integrated with the translation tables that you're speaking of. So you're not translating at the widget level. You're actually translating at the content item level. So for any instance that has multiple languages installed, if you turn on content translations within content publishing, there will be that drop down that you saw in the demo that Pooh just showed. What that does is it gives you two things that you can do. You can use our integrated localization framework product that ServiceNow offers. That product gives you kind of a request workflow to work with either internal translation teams or third-party translation teams. It also gives you the opportunity to use machine translation capabilities. But with rich content, you probably don't want to use that because it's sending over HTML and it can get a little messy. So what you're going to want to do is, with rich content in particular, you're going to want to switch your language and work with either your third party or your internal teams to properly translate the individual content item so that each language has a kind of a copy of the rich content microsite in its unique language. Then on the front end, whatever the user is viewing, like when they're viewing the portal with their language preference, it will show the appropriate rich content microsite in that language. So all that happens on the back end, not on a widget on the front end.
Right. But I mean, my question was like earlier, it was only human translation. For portal translations, we didn't have machine translation, like with the click of a button, like how we have it for virtual agent. So is that enabled for portal now?
It is, yeah, as of the August 23 or August 22 release.
Oh, that's great news. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's see, are there any other questions? What's the difference between user criteria and HR criteria? So user criteria is like a platform capability, and HR criteria is extending that to give you additional points that you can use to track the employee. It comes with the HRSD Pro license or HRSD license.
Yeah, you just get a lot more rich data from the HR profile than you do the user profile, which is basically your system user data.
Do we have a UI button? Okay, so like Joe, we have resolved that. So what's the difference between a topic microsite and topic dynamic page. So the term dynamic, we're just using on and off. Topic microsite is essentially when you are creating the microsite within a topic page. We are calling it a topic microsite. And we call it dynamic because those are dynamically created topic pages. So it's just like different way to call depending on what you have within that page.
Hey, Pooja, can you bring up that release cadence slide again? Because we definitely have gotten a lot of questions about release. So I just want to address, so the tabs functionality came out in the February store release. And so you may not be seeing it in Tokyo or Utah. You would actually get that in Vancouver. Vancouver is where the February store release will, what we call true up, and you will get those features. So we highly recommend upgrading via the store. Once you have it, whether it's store release or Vancouver release, then it will be backwards compatible to Utah and Tokyo. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yep. Thank you. Analytics, there are some questions on analytics. You can use content analytics on this to just see how this content that you're creating is performing. User experience analytics, I believe that doesn't really get into the microsite space, right, Corey?
It'll show click through onto these pages. So if you have a popular microsite, and it will show that it's getting clicked on as far as the page at the page level. So that it will show that. From a content analytics perspective, there is kind of an interesting way to use content analytics in that you can add a microsite to a campaign and leave that running at no end date, and you can actually see metrics on how consumers are basically, or the employees are clicking on it. So engagement metrics if you add it to a campaign.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey, and thank you everyone for joining. We do have the updated links for roadmap webinar. So if you're still there on the call, please use the updated links. We will keep the chat open for some time. Other than that, thank you so much. We will share the recording and the slides for this in just a few days.
Thanks, everyone, and send us your screenshots if you can on how you use this. We'd love to see them.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.